Hi guys, it's Reagan and welcome back to another video. Today's video is another big book unboxing book haul. I have been exercising all of my self-restraint for this video, and today's the day I can finally open up all of these bookish packages. But before we dive into the book haul itself, first a word from this video's sponsor, which is Wondrium. If you guys have been watching my channel for a while, you would know that I am a huge stan of Wondrium. They've also been a longtime partner of mine, and I truly love their service so much. But if you're not familiar, Wondrium has recently rebranded from the Great Courses Plus, and under this new name, Wondrium is able to provide even better, bigger, more mind-blowing content than ever before at varying video lengths as well, which I personally love. Wondrium is an entertaining and educational premier video subscription service. Through their site, you're able to access thousands of different videos across so many different categories. Personally, I'm a huge fan of their history section. Particularly, I have listened to so many of their different lecture series, which are deep dives on particular topics, all taught by accredited professionals from the top universities to institutions like the Smithsonian. I've taken classes on things like ancient Rome, ancient Greece, women in the Middle Ages. There's just so many different things to learn and see on this site. I was a history major in school, so the history section does hold a very special place in my heart, but their range of topics is so expansive, so whatever you're interested in or wanting to learn more about, they will have you covered, from mathematics to science to lifestyle as well. They truly have something for everyone. They also have quite the range of video lengths. Personally, I love the lecture series as they're kind of a multi-video deep dive approach. They also have shorter options as well, making it really easy to fit Wondrium content into your schedule. For my new Wondrium show, I have taken a bit of a departure from my usual watching pattern, but since moving into my new home, I've just been constantly seeking inspiration as well as help in terms of how to decorate it and make it my ultimate space, which is why I've turned to one of their lifestyle lecture series, which is Decorate Like a Designer with Jonathan Adler. I really like Jonathan Adler. I like his style. I like a lot of his collaborations. And this 13 video series is designed to help you figure out all the technicalities behind decorating to ensure that your space is your ultimate space, which I love. I also just like learning new things from different experts in a variety of different fields. It's just fun to constantly expand my vocabulary. But truly, Wondrium is designed for those who wonder. If you've ever had a question or wanting to learn more about a topic, this is the perfect video service for you. I, of course, have an offer code for you guys. If you click the link below, you're able to get Wondrium for free. Again, big shout out to Wondrium for sponsoring this video, but let's go ahead and dive back into the book haul. So as I said, this is a book unboxing video. Honestly, some of these packages have been sitting in my house for so long, I couldn't even really tell you what's inside. I do also have a few loose books to show off, which we're going to start with. But anyway, let's just go ahead and dive into the unboxing. The first book I'm going to show off was a pre-order and one of my most anticipated releases of the year, if not the past couple of years, and that is Locklands by Robert Jackson Bennett. This is the third and I think final book to this fantasy series by this author. I love Robert Jackson Bennett. I've really enjoyed this series, the first one being Foundry Side. It's incredibly original, has a fascinating magic system and great characters to fall in love with. Humor, action, truly has it all. I'm honestly a little sad to see that the series is ending, but I'm curious to see how it's going to wrap up. But if you're not familiar, the first novel is called Foundry Side. And in Foundry Side, we follow one of our main characters, Sansia, and she is a very good thief. And at the beginning of book one, she is hired to steal a very powerful and ancient artifact, and because she's so good at her job, she successfully does this. But unfortunately, it also sets off a chain of events, kind of creating outright war between very powerful houses that exist within her land. Sansia lives in a place called Foundry Side. Essentially, large swaths of the territory are controlled by different merchant houses, and these merchant houses are literally like enclosed mini kingdoms. They have their own rules, politics, economy. The land that lives outside of these walled cities is called Foundry Side and is essentially lawless. Magic system in this world works kind of like magical coding. Sansia specifically is very good at it. Basically, you can adjust the properties of different materials by rewriting their inner code. You can make a wall stronger, you can make a wall weaker, you can make something turn into smoke. As long as you know their language, you're able to kind of rewrite the physical world around you. Sansia particularly is able to see that language very, very clearly. This book is all about heists, unlikely friendship and collaboration, the underdog trying to take down the bigger guy. It's so good. It also has such great humor. I loved the first two books so much, and I'm really looking forward to see where the third and final book takes us. But but naturally I had to pick this book up. It's been on my radar for a long while. The next book I grabbed was actually a recommendation from you guys, and that is The Midnight Bargain by C.L. Polk. This was recommended to me after I read The Beautiful Ones by Sylvia Moreno Garcia, which I am obsessed with, and I just needed more books that kind of have like heavy on the romance, heavy on the propriety with like a dash of fantasy. And this was kind of sold to be like that. This follows our main character Beatrice, and she is her family's like kind of last hope to get them out of economic destitute. She is debuting into society and she needs to secure herself a very good match, a very good economic match. But Beatrice herself is not really interested in getting married at all. This is because she loves magic. She loves researching magic, and she loves pursuing the knowledge of magic as well. But what happens in this world is when a woman gets married, even if she has magical ability, she's not able to harness it because it is said that this magical talent could impact unborn children, so married women are unable to practice. Therefore, Beatrice is looking to prevent her marriage at all costs. She just wants to be a scholar. In her pursuit of trying to figure this out, she crosses the Levon siblings, and they kind of like pull her in an unlikely fashion. One of them kind of wants to marry her, and the other wants her to help pursue her own desire in magic too. I'm curious if this will actually create a bit of a love triangle between these two siblings and our main character. I think that would be pretty interesting. But I did grab this. I'm hoping it's entertaining and angsty and full of like propriety and all of that, because I honestly love it. This book I picked up, I grabbed on my travels. I really love to buy books while I'm traveling. I think it's like the most fun type of souvenir. So I ended up picking this book up in Miami from an incredible bookstore, which is called Books and Books, which I highly recommend checking out if you're ever in Miami. But the book I grabbed was Ordinary Monsters by J.M. Muro. I am so excited to read this book. This was another like most anticipated release for the year. I'm like kind of holding off picking it up because I feel like this would make the perfect fall read. This is like a dark historical fantasy story set very much in like a very clear time period with a lot of ambiance, and I'm hoping lyrical writing and just bizarreness. But this is set in Victorian London in 1882, and it says, two children with mysterious powers are hunted by a dark figure made of smoke. One of those children is named Charlie, and despite being a runaway from Mississippi, living a very hard life, he does not have a scar on him. That is because his body has the mysterious ability of being able to heal itself. And then we also follow Marlowe, and he shines with a very strange blue light, and he is able to melt or mend flesh. And then the last character we follow is a disgruntled female detective who is hired to escort these two kids to safety, and so begins a very unlikely journey that starts in the shadowy streets of London, but apparently makes its way all the way to the streets of Tokyo. So I think we're traveling to a huge variety of places. I love the idea of the story. I love the ambiance of the story. I am hoping I love this book, and I really feel like there's a very high chance I will, which is also why I bought it, because I'm just so excited about it. And then the last book I've already unboxed is Guild by Raven Kennedy. This is the first book to the Plated Prisoner series, an incredibly hyped like fantasy with romance series I've seen all over the internet. I'm constantly looking for a new fantasy series with like heavy elements of romance to entertain me, sweep me away. I love them, to be honest. Recently, I have been chronically disappointed with the books I have been picking up, and I'm hoping to change that reality with this series. That being said, I've heard from multiple sources that while this is the first book, it acts more as a prequel, and you don't necessarily need to read it before going into book 2, and it's also full of a lot of triggers. So I would really say to anyone interested in picking this book up to please check those out before reading it, because I've started it and I can agree that it is honestly rather disturbing. But this is a retelling of the tale of King Midas. There is an antagonist in this book who is a king who can basically turn anything into gold, including our main character who has been turned into gold, and she's also kept prisoner within his castle. That's like the setup, at least for book 1, and where the story kind of takes off from there. I hear it's highly political and very intense, especially in later stories, as well as the romance begins to appear in book 2. I'm curious about this. I am reading and vlogging this experience, but nonetheless, I did pick up book 1 as well. All right, we're moving on to the books to unbox. So let's just go ahead and get started. I'm like making sure I'm not accidentally revealing my address to the internet. So let's begin. That was actually pretty good. Okay, so the first book I got here, I had no idea was coming at all. I think this was sent to me by a publisher from Macmillan, but I'm like thrilled it ended up coming my way because I was actually just about to buy this book. Okay, and it's Nettle and Bone by T. Kinfisher. I've heard really good things about this book. Particularly, I hear the writing style is dark and lyrical, which is generally always right up my alley. It says, Mara never wanted to be a hero. As a shy, Covent-raised third-born daughter, she escaped the traditional fate of princesses to be married away for the sake of an uncaring throne. But her sister wasn't so fortunate, and after years of silence, Mara is done watching her suffer at the hands of a powerful and abusive prince. And from there, I believe we follow Mara, our main character, going to seek help for a rescue mission. And it does seem to kind of follow a very traditional fantasy structure of like completing 3 specific tasks to get 3 specific tools to be able to accomplish her quest. She's also followed along this journey by an ex-knight as well as a fairy godmother. Again, I've heard really good things about this. It's also pretty short, so I feel like this could be perfect for a 24-hour readathon or just a book to help defeat like a reading slump. I really feel like I'm going to enjoy this story and I'm so excited to have it in my hands. Next package is this one, which I'm just gonna like open. There are 2 books in here that I'm so excited about because it's a series I've been wanting to check out for a really long time. And again, I've heard such excellent things about it. The first is The Goblin Emperor by Katherine Addison. This is a very famous and very beloved like fantasy series, and I'm really curious to finally pick it out, especially because there's been new books released. And this follows our main character, Maya, and he is the youngest son of the emperor and born from a marriage that only exists to create a treaty. Because he's the youngest son, he was raised in exile, far away from the emperor, far away from the imperial court, and very far away from the rituals and politics that make up the life of this court itself. However, at the beginning of the story, his father and older brothers mysteriously die, and he is summoned back to take the throne. Now he must navigate a complex political situation with absolutely no context, no help, and no understanding of like how we even got to this point. And he also quickly realizes that the circumstances surrounding his father and siblings' death might be more nefarious than first thought, meaning his life might also be in danger. It says, a remarkably hopeful story of a single decent person doing his best in a difficult situation. Remarkably compelling and fascinating. I hear that the Goblin Emperor, the main character of this book, is just one you really fall in love with and root for, which honestly, I need. This was also nominated for a bunch of awards in like the early 2010s, and I'm just curious to finally pick it up. I've heard such good things, and I really feel like I'm gonna love this. And then under that same vein, I also picked up The Witness for the Dead by Katherine Addison. This is a standalone sequel to the Goblin Emperor series. I know it seems weird that I would only show off the first book and the most recent release, but I do believe the book in between this actually exists within this pile as well, so just be patient here. But I really feel like I'm going to love this series, and I feel like it's really moved very high up on my TBR. I love character-focused fantasy, and all of the quotes by a lot of my favorite authors, like gracing the backs of these covers, is making me extra excited. All right, next we have more of these very strange things. I don't even totally know how to open them. I think I just kind of like rip them apart, like that. All right, so this is well timed because the next book I have to show off is The Grief of Stones by Katherine Addison, the sequel to The Goblin Emperor, I'm pretty sure. It's kind of unclear to me the exact order of these books, but again, this is bringing back a beloved character and continuing to expand the Goblin Emperor world, which I am here for. It seems that the first book is like the more significant novel, and perhaps the follow-up stories are more like in between novellas and books themselves, but nonetheless, they all are well-received, well-loved, and I'm excited to have like the whole series now in my hands. All right, another one of these more strange brown packages that are kind of hard to open. Oh, I'm so excited about this series. Okay, so I feel like I need to open up a few more because there's more than one book in this to show off. So the first one. And then I'm assuming the rest of the books in this series also exist within here. I was correct. All right, so I feel like a lot of you guys are gonna be so excited about this series because when I found out about it, I lost it and immediately needed to have it in my hands because it is like a cozy fantasy romance series. Yes, all of those things exist within this particular genre, like an absolute dream. This is part of the Regency fairy tale series. I mean, say less. First one is Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. Then we have 10,000 Stitches, same author. And then lastly, we have Long Shadow. And I can't wait to marathon all three of these books. I'm hoping they're just the coziest comfort romantic read that I desperately am always searching for. I'm pretty sure each book in this series follows a different main character and different like romantic tale, which is very common in a romance series. You kind of follow characters that know each other and then their own personal journeys. Book one follows our main character Theodora, and she is a young lady with only half a soul. And this occurred when she was cursed by a fairy. This also results in her having like no embarrassment, and she kind of sometimes struggles in social situations. So she's just trying to lie low during this new season by being a wallflower. But when Elias Wilder, the handsome, peculiar, and utterly ill-mannered Lord Sorcerer, discovers her condition, she is instead drawn into dangerous fairy affairs. I love it. I love it so much. I can't wait to read this. And then the second book in this series follows our main character, Effie, who has acquired a fairy godfather. Unfortunately, he has no idea what he's doing, Effie, and she has inconveniently fallen in love with the very dashing Benedict Ashbrook. There's only one problem. Effie herself is a housemaid, and housemaids cannot marry gentlemen. Somehow, Effie finds herself in the fairy realm, and she basically is offered help make Ashbrook fall in love with her. All she has to do is sew 10,000 stitches into this fairy lord's favorite jacket. Again, humorous, romantic. I can't wait to see what happens. And the tagline for the last book I have in this series is, "Proper Regency ladies are not supposed to become magicians, but Miss Abigail Wilder is far from proper." This follows our main character Abigail, who has to begin investigating like a mysterious dark magic that's taking over London. This is also a queer romantic fairy tale, and honestly, all of these books in this series sound so unbelievably delightful, like perfectly up my alley. So when I saw them, I had to get them, and I plan to marathon them soon. I just feel like they're gonna be the perfect book to like, I don't know, put a smile on my face. They sound so adorable. The next set of books comes in a box, and I'm realizing I did not bring scissors. So just give me 1 second as I try to figure this out. I think we can do it. I think we're okay. We did it. Ooh, oh yes, I remember accepting this now. So this is actually an ARC, another book that was sent to me by a publisher, but it's by an author I want to continue to check out, so I'm excited to have it in my hands, and that is Foul Lady Fortune by Chloe Gong. I have read Chloe Gong's other duology, which is the These Violent Delights series. I enjoyed it. I appreciated the ideas. I did kind of want more from the pacing and the overall like writing style and plotting. That being said though, I feel like conceptually it was so strong, so I was looking forward to see what Chloe Gong was going to come out next. And this is another like YA fantasy series set again in Shanghai, but I believe it's an all new series just kind of in the same world. And truly the synopsis of this book sounds incredible, and it's pulling on aspects of These Violent Delights, particularly centering one of the characters there, but this really does feel like wholly a new story. It even says it is set in 1931 and the stage is set for a new decade of intrigue to begin. And this follows our main character Rosalind, and after some experiments that occurred early in her life, she has completely stopped aging. Not only has it stopped her from aging, but she also can no longer sleep, and she also heals. Feels very like vampire-y, if you ask me. Rosalind is also desperate for redemption from her past as well. She's decided to use her abilities to become an assassin for her country. Her code name is Fortune. But when the Japanese Imperial Army begins its invasion march, Rosalind is tasked with a new mission. That is to begin to investigate murders that are occurring across Shanghai, creating a lot of unrest. Now she must infiltrate foreign society and figure out who is responsible for these murders across the city. And she does this by having to pose as the wife of another nationalist spy, and his playboy ways quickly begin to grate on Rosalind, but I think they have to make an unlikely alliance and work together. It seems like a hate to love romance setup with a lot of intrigue. Personally, my favorite part of Chloe Gong's other series was the historical influence in not only the politics but the fantasy setting, and I really feel like that's going to be present again, as this story seems to be pulling direct from history as well. It sounds really good. I'm hoping I really enjoy it, and I'm excited to have it in my hands as well. And then the last book that I have here is a very exciting one, and that is the Stardust Theme. You might be asking me, Reagan, don't you already own this? And the answer is yes, but I wanted the full hardcover edition because I'm pretty sure there's going to be multiple books in this series, and I wanted them all to match on my shelf because I am like that. But this is the first book to a new fantasy series I just have a feeling I'm going to fall in love with and also need to read soon. The story follows our main character, Lowly, and she is known as the Midnight Merchant, and with the help of her djinn bodyguard, she's basically really fantastic at stealing things. At the beginning of this book, against her better judgment, she decides to like save the life of a very cowardly prince. Fortunately, this does draw the attention of his very powerful father, the Sultan, who basically asks or forces her to go on a mission to locate this lost lamp to help revive the land, but at the cost of destroying all the jinn. There we follow Lowly as she begins this mission or face execution. She's also joined by one of the Sultan's other sons, who is also part of this like notorious thief guild. Out on an adventure, have to destroy a bunch of dark monsters. Everyone has secrets, everyone has to work together, and a bunch of wild stuff, I'm sure, spirals from there. I love the sound of this book. I love the concept of this story. It sounds like it's going to be full of magic and secrets and politics. I've already heard amazing things about this. I now already have 2 copies of this book before I've even read it because that's how sure I feel that I'm going to like it. But nonetheless, I'm so thrilled to be adding this to my shelf as well. I can't wait to pick it up. Alrighty guys, that is my unboxing book haul. Let me know down below some books you've gotten recently, as I would love to know, and I will see you guys soon with another video soon. Goodbye.